It's yourself. 1 minute now while I just get organized. Just got a few little things left to sort out in the multi-streaming extravaganza that is these daily meditations. Bit off with the where I am on Instagram. Meditation's coming. 1 sec. Nearly there. Nearly there. Okay. All good-ish. I'm a bit off center. I can't seem to... Did I go the wrong way? Right, how are you? How's the day going? You well? I hope you're well. It's alright if you're not. That's fine as well. Every day can't be fantastic. Or it can be, but it isn't always. But anyway, I hope you're doing okay. Right, time for a bit of meditation. This isn't a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. It's part of the further emergence work I do. I'll explain what that is when we're finished. So if you are if you're used to meditating, if you're familiar with it, that's brilliant. Can you just hang on for a minute while I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation? For me, it starts with why I meditate. I want to connect with the part of me that I connect to every night when I'm asleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm dreaming and then I drop out the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, I've got nothing. I don't even have me. I kind of cease to exist. Certainly in the way I normally register my existence. Which, when I put it all together like that, I mean, that sounds awful. It sounds like death. Yet, I love going asleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed. So some part of me knows that wherever I go to, it's a good place. And that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're new to meditation, don't try this lying down because you'll just fall asleep. And if you don't fall asleep, you'll battle sleep, both of which are kind of counter to what the intention is. So sit up. You don't have to sit in a lotus position or anything like that unless you're comfortable in a lotus position. You can just sit in a chair. If you're going to sit in a chair, make sure it's not a big comfortable armchair that you might fall asleep in, or you're just back into that. So as I say, there's no thoughts in this place. My mind can't seem to get there, so I have to figure out a way to work something out with my mind so I can kind of part the curtains of my mind so I can get into this mysterious, calm, beautiful place. So I just make an arrangement with my mind. I just say, hey, could you just not think for the next 15 minutes because I want to do some meditation. And my mind at this stage is on board for the whole thing, and it's like, yeah, great, let's do that. So that's good. Get your mind on board, that's important. And then to stop thinking, that's relatively easy, because regardless of what I'm thinking about, the structure of my thought's always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it, I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. And the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of meditation. So my intention is to go to this deep, mysterious, calm, still, I'm trying to think of all the other words that are used to describe meditation, Zen-like, peaceful, right? That place. The practice of meditation starts as soon as I stop thinking. And it pretty much goes, I'll stop thinking, I'll turn off the pictures, I'll turn off the sound. Then some time passes, and then I discover that I'm thinking again. I go, oh, I'm thinking again. So I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound. I bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes, and I discover I'm thinking again. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking again. So I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound. I bring myself back to not thinking, and so on. Repeatedly, every time I discover that I'm thinking, I bring myself back to not thinking. And that's important because it's easy to get the misconception that to meditate correctly, you have to not be thinking at all, that your mind is like a lake and there isn't a ripple of thought on it. That's not the case. It's more of a combination or a dance between these two things. Sometimes you'll be very deep and still, and then other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking, and both are powerful in their own way. Like, it's very powerful when you're deep, still in this profound, possibly eternal place. But it's also very powerful when you're discovering that you're thinking. It's just a bit more subtle. Because if you're like me, the sort of things you'll be thinking about are to do with you. So I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound. I make that thought disappear. Indirectly, what I'm saying to myself is, you know that thought that you were just thinking, the one that you thought was you and you were it? Well, you just made that disappear. You just made it vanish. So you're not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very powerful. And then the fact that you do that repeatedly, that's very powerful as well. So don't add to your thinking by thinking that you're thinking too much. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And it changes hour to hour, day to day anyway. The main thing is, if every time you discover that you're thinking, you bring yourself back to not thinking, you're doing great. Doesn't matter how many times that happens. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm also letting go of tension in my body. And I have a system for that. I scan my head. I scan from my head down to my feet and back up again. Very slowly, very gently. Anywhere I find tension, I let it go. And I use my out-breath because it's natural to just, breathe it away. But it's also a good way to bring my awareness to my breathing, because it's quite easy to hold your breath during meditation. So using the out-breath is a good way to become conscious of my breathing and to make sure it doesn't stop or I don't hold it. Also, as I'm scanning my body up and down, I'm paying particular attention to any structures in my body that go across my body. Mostly my body runs longitudinally, but any structures that go across my body behave a little bit like a log going across a stream. They just have a tendency to accumulate more, like if it's a log, it'll be twigs, branches and leaves and whatnot. In my body, it's tension. So I'm paying particular attention to my eyes, my tongue, my jaw, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, my joints. They're all going transverse, so my shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, my heart area, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles and my toes. Having a nice quiet room is very helpful when you're starting out with meditation, because when you close your eyes, your hearing amplifies, so little sounds can act as triggers to thoughts. So the quieter the room, it's just a way of helping your mind have less things to think about. Another thing I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, but if you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you to set it for shorter. Set it for 5 minutes and then repeat that 3 times, because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. Okay. Off we go into the mystery. that if you feel like you've gone very deep inside and you feel like you need some time to come back from there before you open your eyes, then take the time before you open your eyes. Or if you feel like you can hold the inner space and the outer space at the same time, then you can just open your eyes. And if when you do that you feel like you lose the inner space, then you can just close your eyes again, reconnect. Oh yeah, there it is. Open your eyes again. Oops, no, I lost it again. Close your eyes again. You can sort of use your eyes like a valve until you can hold both the inner space and the outer space. So as I said at the beginning, these daily meditations that I do are part of the further emergence work. Further emergence is to do with growth, specifically inner growth. Your body grows, from child to then an adult, then it kind of stops or it switches into a different thing. But we keep growing on the inside. That keeps growing in consciousness. And just like when you were growing as a child, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth, what are called growth spurts. The same can happen on the inside, except that can continue on for the rest of your life. You can go through periods of accelerated growth. And it's those periods that what further emergence is about. Because in the same way that when your body was going through a period of accelerated growth, it was just natural. It wasn't a cause for concern. It wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't a cause for concern. It's the same with inner growth spurts, but it can often be misidentified as if there's a problem or there's something wrong, because it's probably because of the way it presents itself. Because it can present itself as being very disoriented. You can sort of feel like, I went to sleep last night and I woke up and my life was just completely different. I just feel like I don't fit in my life doesn't fit me. Everything just seems a bit strange. Another way is, yesterday everybody related to me and I related to everyone. We're all on the same wavelength. And then now it's no one gets me. Everyone thinks I'm a bit nutty. And I don't get them. I don't get anybody. I feel very alone and isolated with it. It can be like that. It can be the sort of slow onset of physical symptoms that have the effect of like pausing your life. They put the pause on your life, almost like they're trying to get your attention about something. It's another way. You can feel stuck. You can feel a sort of feeling of back pressure, like you're just not moving forward. That's another feeling. You just have an inner knowing of it. Or the opposite, you can feel like everything is changing very fast. And there's lots of different other ways that it can present itself. The only thing is that it's natural, but it can be difficult to navigate. So that's kind of what I do, is I help, because I've been through it myself many times, and I've helped lots of other people with it. I've worked as a therapist for many years, craniosacral therapist. So I do these meditations because being familiar with your inner space really helps. It helps with lots of things, but particularly when you're in further emergence. I also facilitate a Zoom group every Friday, and that serves, it's for a few different things. It's a chance to see there's other people going through the same thing. You go, okay, I'm not on my own, or this is, and what those people are talking about, it's exactly the same as what I'm talking about, or what's gone on for me. So there's questions and answers, there's in-depth meditation. So they're every Friday. And then I work with people one-to-one as well. And I work kind of in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. So in front of the scenes, it's kind of talking, and then behind the scenes, I work distance work, as I say, behind the scenes to help with the process. So if all of that is resonating with you or ringing a bell, then follow along with the different channels I'm on, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or go and have a look on the website, furtheremergence.com. If you're looking for the different social media channels, just search for Further Emergence. Okay, hang on, someone's asking me a question. Sometimes I ask myself, am because a human and live too easily, because so many think that I have as this human. All those things build of thinking, but meditate advise me to not think. hang on a sec. Sometimes I ask myself, am I became a human and live too easily because so many think that I have as a human and all those things built of thinking, but meditate advised me not to think. I don't really understand your question. Could you rephrase it and I will try to answer you? Have another go. Okay, bad English. Is it that you're concerned about that thinking is important and to stop thinking is a bad thing? Is that roughly it? Well, it's only 15 minutes. Yeah, it's not like you have to stop thinking for good. But what it does is by getting your mind to not think, by making an arrangement with your mind not to think, you become more aware of a whole other part of yourself that you don't get to see because you're caught up in thinking all the time. So for me, when I meditate and I make this arrangement with my mind where I say, can you just not think for the next 15 minutes? If I didn't do that, I would never be conscious of going into this deep place that I go to every night, but I just don't do it consciously. But when I meditate, I do go to it consciously. But it doesn't register with my mind. My mind kind of has to wait outside the door while I go into this place. And if I didn't stop thinking, fully stop thinking, not like go on a guided kind of meditation or anything like that, but to actually make the focus of my meditation, stop thinking and bring myself back to it's kind of a nothing to speak of, or an emptiness, not an emptiness, it's not a nothing, but it feels like nothing to my mind, then I wouldn't register if I didn't do that. So it's more a case of getting a bit of perspective on my mind and where it fits in the spectrum of who I am. Without meditating, I would just think I would only be on this thin layer of my mind and I'd be just completely with that. Whereas through meditation, it gives me access to a lot more different parts of me. And then when I finish meditation, it's like, I collect my mind on the way back out. It's like, okay, we hold hands and like, let's go off and meet the day and do whatever we have to do. Because my mind is very handy. It's brilliant for like so many things, but it's not all of me. So really for me, meditation is about going deeper into other parts of me. Does that help? Just waiting to see what they say. Maybe they've gone. No, they've gone. No, they haven't. Okay. Thanks for meditating with me, and see you tomorrow for some more meditation. Bye. Okay, thanks. Good.